Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. My name is Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to flip off societal pressures and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're here to encourage you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Selfish Confidence Podcast. I am really excited today because we have a very special guest who is sitting in her closet right now, and I'm so excited for her to be here to talk about what's going on in that closet. So welcome, Amanda.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Can you tell us how you got started on your journey as a feminist style coach?
Sure. So there's kind of two parts to that, because the first one is like, how did I get into style and personal style and all of that? It's a little bit of a long story, so bear with me. It's not boring.
Give it to us.
It's pretty cool. I left my career that I was a part of probably for like 15 years. I was a clinical supervisor for preschoolers with autism. Big jump in topics, but bear with me, we'll get there. So I did that for about 15 years, loved it, but I got burnout. And so I decided to work for my husband, who has a business, part-time. That it was a way for me to be there part-time and working and be with our young daughter part-time, and also give me time to recover from my burnout and not have to have any of my decisions have an impact on somebody else's life. So I did that for about 2 years. I recovered, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm bored out of my mind doing admin, HR stuff. It is not what I'm meant to do. I'm appreciative for the time that it gave me to recover. But I knew that I need to challenge myself, and I need to help people, and I need to teach. So I spent a year just engaging in things that I'm passionate about and interested in, and I would learn how to do it. And then just my natural inclination is, when I'm really excited about something and I've learned how to do it, I want to share and teach others how to do it. And so I just kind of spent a year doing that. And have you heard of something called the Buy Nothing Project?
Oh, are those the Facebook groups?
Yes.
Yes. My best friend loves those, and I always am so in awe of what she finds in the Buy Nothing.
Sweet. So the Buy Nothing Project is a worldwide project, but it requires somebody from your community to start it. And my cousin who lived out west in Canada, she's like, have you heard of this project? I started my community. I think you would really like it. You should start it in yours. So I did. I started it where I live in Coast-Sis and Rothesay in New Brunswick. And it exploded. Like, it blew up to the point where when I first brought it to our community, I think there was only 3 Buy Nothing projects in all of New Brunswick. And since I started, is now spread everywhere in the East Coast, which is so, so cool. People really embraced that project. And so we used to have something called Wish List Wednesdays, where you could just post anything, big or small. Like, what is it that you would wish? Because you can give gifts of items or give acts of service or time. So somebody, a neighbor, didn't know, said, I need help in my wardrobe. And I was always the type of person in my previous career, I worked with all women. There were some men, but mostly all women. I was just known for my style and for my clothes. And when I would bring in like garbage bags of, old clothes from my closet, they would like dig into the bags. And growing up when I was younger, I used to go, my mom's a nurse, but she was also a seamstress. And so we used to go to Fabricville so many times, and I would pick out fabric and designs and get my mom to make my clothes. And she made my prom dress. And so I've always had that interest in being creative with your clothes. That's what it meant for me, because I can't draw, can't sing, I can't play an instrument. I never really identified as a creative person until I got, started to do this as a job. And I'm like, this is how I tap into my creativity. And so I went and worked with a complete stranger in her closet for 3 hours. And by the end of it, she was like, I got so much value from this. You need to do this for a living. And I went, okay. And as soon as I said yes to the universe, the universe started opening up doors for me to walk through to like I got involved in a free business course that is given in my city. I started going to like networking events with other entrepreneurs. I took a style course. Like I just started to do all things. I got my husband to write my business plan. I got a loan, like, and basically spent a few months doing all of the learning and prep. And I started Simply Stylish in 2017. And so that was the beginning of the style coaching. The feminist word, I kind of added it in. It's not to like, it's more to signal to people my values. And that's why I included the word feminist style coach, is that so that those who don't know who I am and see that word know that I'm operating under a certain type of worldview and values. And so I spent a year learning about feminism, specifically intersectional feminism. And I studied that for almost a year. And so basically I use, so feminism is, it's a worldview, it's a way of thinking, it's the way, it's values, but it's also a movement. And it's a movement to create culture, society, a world where those who are marginalized have equity, inclusivity, and to dismantle oppressive systems that continue to oppress marginalized people, to dismantle them and reimagine them. And so I use that in my everyday life, that worldview, and I also bring it into my work. And so that's how the Feminist Style Coach title came about.
I love it. I love it. And the energy around the work that you do is magnifying. So I love, like, I'm over here emotional thinking about you finding your alignment and living in a light that just like is your purpose. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, Amanda, like you found it. You did it. Like, what a gift. And what a gift you're giving to women everywhere.
Yeah, it's, it's funny. My husband said to me once, because I have a business, but like, I'm going to be frank, like, I don't make a ton of money doing it. I made way more money when I was younger. And often I feel guilt. I feel guilt because, typically, in the society we were brought up in is like your value has to do with how much money you bring in, right? How much is in your bank account. And it was always important to me to have financial independence. And that's how, when I was younger, how I identified as a feminist. I think it's good to have financial independence, but at the same time, I do have to rely on my husband for some financial security in order for my business to happen. But I feel guilt towards it. And he said to me, he goes, Amanda, I don't help people like you do. You help people. He goes, so my way of helping people is by financially supporting us to allow you to do that. And that's my way of, he's like, that's my way of helping people, is supporting you so you can help people. And I was like, okay, that got rid of that guilt for me. And it is super important to me to help people and impact their lives on a positive level.
Oh, what a great point. And I know, same thing for me. My husband carries a lot of financial burden in our family in order for me to do the work that I do and to be able to be home here. And I love that you brought that up and that you shared it. And I know there's so many women listening to this right now who feel a lot of shame for their businesses not making the amount of money they thought it should.
Yeah.
In order for them to be of value to their family or of value to society. And that is not the case. They're doing incredible work, just like you, just like me. And sometimes that doesn't always equal a monetary value. And yeah, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up, because that has probably been my most common struggle on this journey, is trying to get over that. And even though like mentally, logically, it makes sense, that it's just, there's so much conditioning that you have to undo and rewire your brain. And like, really at the end of the day, if I'm on my deathbed, am I going to think about how much money I had in my bank account throughout my life? No, I'm not. I'm going to think about, the people in my life, the relationships, how others impacted me or I impacted them. Those are the things that end of the day, and at the end of the day, truly matter. Again,
Yeah.
I'm also saying that, and I want to recognize that I have a lot of privilege to be able to say that, because I do have a partner who allows this to happen. If I didn't have that partner, this wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be able to probably do what I'm doing. So I just want to acknowledge that I do have a lot of privilege, and not everybody has access to that.
100%. I get where you're coming from,
Mhm.
and I love that you shared that. It's just a really important message, and I can think of a bunch of people in my head, like by name, like this person's really going to need to hear that, and this person's going to need to hear that. So I love that that's where you started this conversation. And one of my favorite reasons, the biggest reason why I wanted to have you on, Amanda, is because I've been watching you like style in your videos, and you do your videos on Instagram with like your shoes and your clothes, and I'm just like, oh, girl, like I want some style. And I often say, like, I am not very stylish. Now, I've found a little bit of my groove over the last year as I've like found myself, but how does someone figure out their personal style?
Well, so, I have a question for you. So
Oh
you,
no. No, that's not how this works. You're
yeah,
the
it
guest.
sure
Get out of
does.
here.
It sure does. So those times that you thought you didn't have style, what was your definition of style?
That's a great question. um, hmm. I don't know. I think for me, it was just like always about being that like cool kid. I don't know. And probably goes back to high school when you were the kid that like wasn't wearing the coolest outfits and all the other girls were. So for me, it probably was definitely a comparison of what other people had. And that's why I couldn't figure out what my style was.
Part of it because you maybe had a very specific definition or idea of what style looks like, the
Mm-hmm.
definition of style and what that looks like, and being like, well, I'm not that. So that means I don't have style.
Yeah, 100%.
But essentially, that's not true. Style doesn't look one way. Style is personal. So style is within us, it's inside us, and it's all different and unique. And there is no hierarchy that exists around what is stylish and what is not. As I look around, I follow all kinds of different people that talk about their own personal style, and it is all over the place. Now, you can fall into a hole on social media where you're just following a certain type of aesthetic, and then you all of a sudden you think, well, that's what everybody's wearing and that's what's popular. And some people confuse style with trends or style with name brands. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not true. That's all been influenced through capitalism and them wanting us to consume and never being happy with what we have, and always trying to kind of keep up with the Joneses. And yes, bring it back to when you're in high school, and everybody was wearing a Club Monaco sweatshirt. I don't know how old you are, Jess, but for me, everybody wore a Club Monaco sweatshirt. I never owned a Club Monaco sweatshirt because my parents couldn't afford that. And, I think those feelings and thoughts can follow us for the rest of our lives. And so my goal is to teach my clients that your style is what makes you feel good. We're not thinking about anybody else. We're not thinking about what our parents will think, or our partners, or our friends, or the popular influencers on Instagram. It's about what lights you up, what colors excite you, what patterns or styles of clothing, light a fire in your body or make you feel and connect with different parts of who you are. And so I love that you had mentioned, what changed for you was that you got to know yourself better. And so really that is the key. It's about getting to know yourself better and who you are and what are all the different facets of who you are, because we're dynamic human beings. We don't always want to feel the same way all the time. We can have different aspects of us that we want to feel depending on the day or depending on the activity that we're doing. So that, that can change, but it's about getting clear on what feels good for you, what feels authentic for you, and separating it from the opinions of others and getting to know yourself, being able to listen to your body. So I talk to my clients about, that little intuition, that inner knowing, and not being stuck in our head, because our head, will bring up fears and lies and old body image stories or criticisms from others on our bodies or what we wear. And so we kind of want to get it out of our head and into our bodies. And that can feel a little foreign to people if they've never done that before. But listening to that intuition, so that when you put on a piece of clothing and you're like, oh, this is cool, or I never thought I could wear this, or oh my God, this color makes me so happy, or, this jacket makes me feel edgy or sassy or, bold. And listening to that part of your body and giving yourself permission to accept it and then wear it and express it, right? And so the other aspect is then giving yourself permission because we can feel really vulnerable sharing parts of ourselves, and doing that through style can be vulnerable because it can open us up to comments and looks. And some people can feel threatened and vulnerable by other people commenting on how they look like, because maybe for a lot of their lives, people have negatively criticized their body or what they're wearing. But giving yourself permission in a way that supports yourself. So often some clients, I had a client reach out to me, and one of her goals is like, I need to bring more color into my wardrobe because that's who I am, but all I'm wearing is black. And so that was one of our goals. And one of the things she wanted to add to her wardrobe was a raincoat. So I found her a beautiful red raincoat. She ordered it. It fit. She was in love with it. And then she emailed me a week later. She's like, I'm returning the coat. And I'm like, okay, what happened? She goes, I wore it out in public and I felt like everybody was staring at me and it was too much and I want to return it. And this is a client that her and I have talked a lot about her body image, and she had a lot of experience of her family members criticizing her body. And so wearing that red coat out in public made her vulnerable, and it probably triggered a trauma response. Like, people are going to notice me, people are going to criticize, and I just want to hide and fade in the background and not be noticed. So what I advised her to do was, first off, remember how that coat felt before when you felt safe. And that's your true feelings. Everything else, not to diminish how she was feeling in those other moments, feeling vulnerable, that's a valid feeling, but your true authentic feeling was it made you feel amazing. And so be gentle with yourself, take time, take gentle steps. And so the first step would be, just wearing it around the house until your eyes get used to it. Because when we do something new, whether we try a new color or a new style, it can feel a little bit uncomfortable because maybe all we were used to seeing ourselves in were leggings and black hoodies. And so wear it around the house until your eyes get used to it. Then the next step is, once you can do that, wear it with people that you do feel safe with, friends or family members that do hold you and support you and you can feel safe with. And then once you're able to do that, then wear it out in public. And you can be gentle with yourself along that process. So that's one way, that's that intuition, give yourself permission. But my background's in psychology and education. So I love data. I love research. And so the other aspect of finding your style is to gather data. And so many people, when they go shopping, they're just so focused on negative experiences, because usually what happens is like, I can't find anything that fits me. I can't find anything that I like. I put it on the dressing room. The lights are horrible in the dressing room. I look horrible. And then they blame their body. And it's just this never ending spiraling cycle. So what I advise them to do is see it as you're going out and you're gathering data, you're researching. And so we can gather data by learning about our own closet and doing an audit and examining and learning from what we already have. We can gather data by going shopping and just trying new things without judging ourselves or our bodies, take it from a more neutral point of view. And so when you're trying on pants, you're like, okay, these don't fit. What's wrong with these pants? Is it the size? Is it where it hits my waistline? Is it the style? Is it the color? There's so many other reasons why those pants don't work for you other than your body. So, try and figure out where is it not working so that you learn and you take that information and you apply it for next time. And so you're learning about yourself and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And not enough people slow down to gather data. And so they're not learning. They're just in this spiral of trying a bunch of things and it not going well and then giving up. So that kind of, that's the process that I take my clients through. And so I support them in gathering that data and learning about themselves and what feels good for them and how they want to express themselves. Like I've had clients be like, Amanda, you're going to tell me what to wear, what not to wear, right? And I'm like, nope, no, I'm not. If I styled all of my clients, say I had 10 clients and I styled all of them, they would all look the same way and they would look like me because that's my personal style.
But they would look great.
But it may not make them feel great because it's not about me. It's not about how I feel. It's about how they feel and what feels good for their body. And they're all so unique. Our sensory system is all unique, and what fabrics and types of clothes feel good on and supportive on our body. All of our bodies are shaped differently. So, putting my pants on a woman with curvy hips, not going to work because I don't have hips. And then all our lifestyles are different. So what's going to support their work life or their home life or whatever is going on in their life is going to look different. And then what their personal style is and what colors and fabrics and designs and patterns that make them feel good is different. So the goal is, and they don't believe me at the beginning. They don't believe me that they're going to get there. And magically they do every single time. I say, like, you're going to be able to determine this yourself. I'm going to give you process. We're going to do activities together. We're going to collect data together. We're going to do research together. And I'm going to teach you the strategies so that you can find your own personal style and get more clear on it. But recognize that it also does still take time, because it does take data gathering, and it's not going to happen even in a 3-hour call. Like, you have to take what we've done and learn together and then start to apply it and learn and continue to learn. Like when I built my wardrobe, an intentional wardrobe, which is mine is like, it took me years. It doesn't happen overnight. And people, I think that people think it has to happen overnight. You can create a plan. And that's what we do, is we create a wardrobe plan and you start to enact it. But like when I decided I want a black blazer in my wardrobe, it took me 2 years to find the right one because I don't settle.
I remember you doing that on your stories once too. I feel like it was for shoes or something. It was something you were really looking for, and you looked for a really long time. It might have been white pants.
It was white jeans. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that on your stories, and I was like, you've been looking that long for a pair of pants? Like, oh man, I never thought of it like that.
It's because I don't settle. And in the past, when I have settled, I'm either distracted or not happy with what I bought, or it just sits in my closet unused. And that's a waste. I would rather just be patient, be intentional. There's no such thing as a fashion emergency unless, you're giving a talk and a nipple pops out. That's a fashion emergency.
It happens.
Other than that, right, there isn't a whole lot of fashion emergencies out there. So there's no pressure. And I just make the most of what I already own. And then if I want to add some things to my wardrobe, I'm very super intentional. I plan it. I tell my clients, don't buy anything unless you know exactly how you want to wear it and style it.
I like that tip too, because I typically only buy something if I'm going to an event or I have something coming up, or like that's like the only time I go shopping. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm like rushing through the store. I'm not a great shopper. And I'm like rushing through finding that thing. And I'm like, this'll work. This'll do. And then I just get it. And then hopefully it works. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So I love that intentional side of shopping that I just don't make time for.
Yeah. And I get it. And it doesn't have to be, even though you're being intentional, it doesn't have to be time consuming. You can just put an hour here, an hour there, and it could be over 3 months. Like, I haven't gone shopping in months. So like, cause I'm good. Like I'm good with what I have and I'm fortunate. I mean, but you don't have to shop all the time, especially if you are intentional. And over time, if you're intentional with your wardrobe, because I teach my clients, there's 5 tests that your clothes need to pass in order to earn their place in your wardrobe. And if it can pass all 5 tests, it's just going to naturally build a wardrobe you love and wear, and you won't have to panic shop anymore.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah. I do the panic shop. I won't lie.
Oh, you're
That's
not
kind of
the
my
only
thing.
one. It's common.
Yeah, it's like every event that comes up, there's a panic day.
Mm-hmm.
So I might need to work with you, Amanda. I hear where you're coming from, and I feel you, and I'm really glad that you're here to talk to people about that, because you style people to really like accent their beautiful bodies. And I love how you're telling people, don't blame your body.
Yeah.
Like, it's not your body's fault. And I think that we need to shift that, because even the other day when I talked on my stories about saying I was going bathing suit shopping, the amount of messages I got from people saying like, good luck, or that sounds horrible, that does not sound like a fun way to spend your day, things like that, that just like shopping has that bad rap with.
Yeah.
I love that you're helping people with that. So how does someone stop blaming their body to feel confident in their clothes?
Oh man, there is not a simple answer to that. It's something we often talk about in our sessions, because literally I'd say 95% or more of my clients, body image is one of the biggest barriers for them. And it's all different and it's all unique, and everybody's different in that journey. So it's really going to depend on where you are in that journey with your relationship with your body. That's going to influence what advice I have. So let me just assume that somebody has never even thought about that they actually have a relationship with their body, and that they've always had a negative relationship with their body, and then never even crossed their mind that they could change that relationship or heal that relationship. And so that's not an easy journey to go on, because depending on how old you are, you have decades of conditioning telling you otherwise, telling you that your body isn't good enough, that your body, needs to look a certain way in order to feel worthy. Beauty standards inherently in themselves are toxic. And a lot of, there is beauty standards for sure geared towards men, but where we see it the most is definitely geared towards women. Like, I've never seen a commercial for men's skincare products to get rid of the wrinkles. I see that commercial every day for women, right? Like, that's, there's bias in that. And so women were constantly being told, you have to look young, you have to be thin, or, this type of body is the best body to have. And so when your body doesn't match that, you're automatically, well, my body's bad then. Right. And there's just so much that influences, the diet industry influences how your relationship with your body. The beauty industry influences the relationship with your body. Capitalism influences your relationship with your body. Sexism, like, there's so many things that influence. And so it's so hard to really answer that question. I do have clients who sometimes for them, I recommend that they do seek out counseling or even a coach that specifically will help them, whether it's eating disorder recovery or trying to recover from body dysmorphia, or even just, a body image coach that can specifically help them. We do address it, but within the framework of the time that I have, like, that's not my whole goal is just body image, but it's such a huge part of it. And so I have a course called Embrace and Dress Your Body. It's a self-guided course. And one of the workshops is called Embrace Your Body. And that I spend about an hour really talking about what actually influences our relationship with our body, what systems, so that people can understand that it's not you. You don't want to feel these things about your body. You were taught it. You were influenced it. A lot of us were taught by parents and grandparents, not purposely to hurt us, but that was the world that they grew up in. And then they passed those beliefs on to us. We see it in magazines, we see it in the media. We're always being influenced about our bodies and how it should look and how we're never good enough. And so understanding the systems that influence that and how they influence us on a conscious and a subconscious level, I hope allows people to start questioning themselves. Like, why am I thinking this way? Where did this belief come from about my body? Is this actually mine? And do I want to continue to give that control over my relationship with my body, or do I want it to change? So really that's where it has to start, is the acknowledgement that, do I want to continue thinking and feeling this way about my body, or do I want to change? That is where it really starts. And if you're not ready, then that's okay. But if someday you are ready to change that relationship with your body, there's so many resources available to you to do that. And so I think that's one of them, is just first off, acknowledging that you want to make the change. Seek out, there's so many people that talk about body image, there's fat influencers, there's body liberationists, who talk about body oppression and body liberation, which is completely different than body positivity. There's people who teach about body neutrality. Like, there's just so many things out there. We're so resourced now to seek support in that. So I, use some of those keywords I just said, type them into Instagram or Google and see what comes up for you. In my course, I have a list of resources. So if you want to continue that learning, I have books, I have podcasts, I have Instagram accounts that you can follow to continue that learning, because this is such a big, important part of that journey with a lot of my clients.
Yeah. And a lot of people listening today, I know that's a big thing that comes with the fear of finding their style or even putting clothes on, right? That's not baggy, or that's not, anything for them. It's just clothes to cover them up, right? They don't feel great in who they are. And I love that you're really helping people with that, to see themselves and to see that they're worthy of beautiful clothes, regardless of wherever they are on their journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's so special.
Yeah. Clothes are meant to fit our bodies, not the other way around. And
heck yeah.
And though I do want to acknowledge that even though the fashion industry has come a long way in the past 20 years, accessibility is still not where it should be. And so I do want to acknowledge that there's certain bodies that it is 10 times harder for them to find clothes, first off, that even fit their body, and then are nice enough, that actually meet their personal style. So I do also want to acknowledge that accessibility is not where it needs to be. And some bodies, that is an extra struggle that they have to go through on top of it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you with that. And just even with myself and finding my own personal style, sometimes I feel like in my body, in my ever changing body as a woman, that it is really hard to always feel comfortable and to feel confident in what I'm wearing. And I know that's a changing journey, just as my body is. So I love that you're working with that. How does someone get clear on how they want to feel and express themselves in their clothes?
Well, I think we kind of might have already touched on that when I answered the question about personal, how do you find your personal style? Because I think I might have already answered that. So it's when I'm working with my clients, we focus on one of the things that I get them to do. I take them through an activity called Determine Your Power Words. Ooh. And so it's not the word necessarily that's important. It's the feeling in your body that the word evokes. So I'll give an example. One of my power words is edgy. And so I have always, my whole life, has identified as a rebel, somebody that questions the status quo. I question everything. I don't like rules. I like to push my boundaries. I generally don't like to conform. I challenge the shit out of everything. So edgy is one of my power words. And then, so my clients, they pick their own power words, and then we start to identify what clothes match up to that feeling or that word. And so an example for me, my edginess and how I want to connect with that feeling or express that feeling is my ripped denim, my Metallica t-shirt, my moto jacket. I have some edgy jewelry, what I consider edgy, because it's my own definition of edgy. Jewelry, or my bold red lips. And so I need to make sure that I have access to those types of clothes in my wardrobe for those days that I want to tap into that edgy vibe, or, I'm going to an event where it makes sense to tap into an edgy vibe. And so it's, so with my clients, we start with identifying their power words and how they who they are, they identify as, human beings and those different aspects of themselves, and then what clothes will match up to those different aspects of who they are. And that's where we start to gather data, and that can start to influence what we put on their shopping list or wardrobe plan if they don't have access to those clothes already. And the other one is just kind of like identifying what outfits inspire you. And so, you can use other people's style to influence you, but what matters is that you're gravitating towards that outfit for a reason. And what is it about it? Is it the color? Is it the shirt? Is it the type of shoe? And then kind of figuring out, like, we start to gather data about some commonalities, because I get my clients to create a vision board, like a style vision board, and we start to kind of analyze it and examine it and ask questions and start to gather data through the vision board. And it's another way to learn more about yourself and what you like. And it can also be a guide to help you create outfits. And so for me, each change of season, I create a new vision board for myself to inspire me, to see what I'm into right now, if there's any new colors or new styles or new outfits. And I take that vision board and I always shop my closet first. I kind of use that to recreate some of those outfits that inspire me and see, can I do this from what I already own first? And then if I can't, then I'm like, okay, well, maybe something needs to go on my shopping list.
Oh, yeah. Because I could Pinterest all day long. Like, I can't shop very well, but I can Pinterest all day long. So I love that you go to your closet and look there first before instantly adding it into your cart, which I think is what we all do, right? We just like, oh, just put it in my cart. Like, no, like there's ways to do it. And I love that you're helping sustainably the environment too for that. So I think that's so cool.
That's a big part of my values. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. The question that popped in my head as you were speaking was, as a mom, how do you help to encourage your daughter and your son too? But like, how do you help to encourage your kids through finding their style, finding themselves, and just living in the life that they feel best for them and in their clothes?
So my daughter shops for herself. She picks out her own clothes, and she picks out her own outfits. And she's been doing that for years. I haven't dressed her since probably maybe she was 3 or 4.
Love it.
So she gets no rules other than the only rules. No, this isn't really a rule. It's more of a question I ask herself. If she picks up, but she's really smart anyway, but she's like, she'll ask Siri, what's the weather going to be like today? So that she knows to plan her outfit accordingly. Not all kids do that. And we're not saying because they don't do that, they're not smart. It's just, that's how her brain works. Not all kids' brains work. I mean, there's so many kids that I see walking in shorts and flip-flops right now, and there's still like snow on the ground.
That would be me. Yeah.
So, I do, if she's not dressed well, maybe for a specific activity, I'll just ask her questions and being like, is that, did you know it's going to snow today? Or, hey, just keep that in mind. And I'll just ask her questions just to give her more perspective information. But it's still up to her to make that decision. Because I believe in natural consequence. So if like she freezes for the day, I mean, if she was 3, that's different. She's 11, right? So it's, again, age appropriateness also needs to be a factor in these tips. And so, yeah, she shops and picks out her own clothes now. And so that's how I foster it, is just giving her that freedom. The other thing, often she will look give my opinion. So she'll be like, what do you think, Mom? Do you like this? Do you think it looks good? And I do exactly with her what I do with my clients. I never give her my opinion right away. Because all that matters is her opinion. And that's what I teach my clients. So I always turn it back. Well, how do you feel about it? What do you think? And then we start from there. If she feels great, awesome. End of discussion, because goal achieved, right? That's all that matters. If she feels off, then we're like, okay, well, let's figure out, why do you feel off? And here are some possible solutions that can help.
Oh, yeah. That's so fun too. I can imagine as an 11-year-old, like looking back and thinking like, man, like how I would have shopped so differently back then had I had a bit more freedom, or even just like a better understanding of style and clothing. Cause I was the kid wearing the Disney t-shirts, like up until the 10th grade, like not even, it's not a joke. Like
I love that.
Repping my Disney tees until 16. So
well, there's nothing wrong with that
all the time.
There's nothing wrong with that. I would say like, that's your style. That is your style. Yeah. That's your own personal funky style.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And now as I'm older and can see that, great. Back then I thought I was a total weirdo. So
Okay.
I think,
You
yeah,
judged yourself for it. You
100%.
didn't embrace it.
No, definitely didn't embrace it. But now looking back, I definitely would. And I guess that kind of leads us into the next question. Like, if you were to turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
This has not, what I would tell myself when I was 18 has absolutely nothing to do with clothes.
Give it to me. It doesn't matter.
Um,
If you feel comfortable to do so, which you
yeah,
told me you would anyway.
yeah,
So.
yeah. So like, I don't have really any regrets in my life. So it's not, advice on doing anything differently. I think the advice I would give myself at 18, or not even advice, I would just tell her that the boy you're in love with now, he's going to break your heart several times, but he's going to make you a mother in 2 years. And you are going to love that child more than anything in the world, and that child is your soulmate. And even though you're not perfect, you're going to do great as a mom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm over here. I feel it too. Yeah. What a great message it would be to hear that at that age.
I would be like, shut the fuck up. What?
You cray.
I'm going to be a mom in 2 years. Shut up.
I'm not ready for this, but okay. Yeah, I feel you. That's good. What is your top style tip?
Oh, I had an answer for this, but of course now my brain is blank. Probably my top style tip is to radically embrace yourself. Like, learn to foster a relationship with yourself, to like yourself. You don't have to love your body, but you can learn to treat your body with kindness and respect, and to, part of being kind to your body and being respectful is to wear clothes that make it feel good and that make you feel good and that supports your body, whatever shape or size it is now. And that supporting it is one of the kindest things that you can do to it. And clothes is a way to do that. Wear clothes that fit your body now, get rid of the clothes that no longer fit. Now, as if you identify as a woman, our bodies can sometimes fluctuate. And so, if you're not ready to get rid of it completely, at least take it out of your closet and pack it away. Clothes that don't currently support you or your body right now don't get to take up mental and physical space in your wardrobe.
Yeah. Mic drop. Yeah. Because there's so many things that we keep in our closet just for someday. I was actually listening to a video earlier today about body types and having clothes that sometimes can be too small just because, well, we might need them. I might lose weight. I might finally fit into those clothes. And also sometimes keeping clothes that are too big because, well, I might need those. Sometimes my body gets bigger and I totally get it. So I love the idea of packing it away, putting it away. I don't need it right now.
Yeah.
You can get rid of it if you feel called to get rid of it.
Yep.
But if it's just something you want to save for later,
Yeah.
put it away. We don't need it. It doesn't need to take up space
Absolutely.
in our mind or in our closet.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
What would you say to the woman listening right now who's struggling to like their body and to like the clothes in their closet?
So first off, give yourself permission to make it a priority if you want to make it a priority. It's not, clothes aren't, sometimes you have a vision that like somebody who cares about their clothes, you make assumptions that maybe they're vain or that it's, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not materialistic, but like, I can't think of the word. Like it's trivial almost, or like it's not important. And I would say that for most people, varying degrees, their wardrobes do impact how they feel. And it can impact their day. You can be distracted by your clothes. I know so many people who won't go to certain events because they don't have the right clothes for that event. And then they're missing out on interacting with people or being social with friends or family. So our wardrobe can impact how we feel. It can impact our everyday life. And you're not silly for wanting to make this a priority, not wanting, you can do it to make your life easier, to save money long term, to save frustration long term, and to feel good. And so first off, give yourself permission. And probably, like, if you don't want to hire a professional like me to help you along that journey, start by going through your own wardrobe and figuring out what you like and what you don't like. Listen to your body. Don't judge your body. Do it on a day that you've eaten, you've drank, you've nourished your body, you're in a good headspace. Take it step by step. You don't have to do it all at one go. You can do it by category. If you want, like one night you just focus on your pants, or the next day you focus on your tops. Do it by category and slowly release the pieces that aren't supporting you. Hold on to the pieces that do support you and figure out like why, what is it that I like about them and how can I get more of this in my wardrobe? And so the first one is, kind of getting your wardrobe prepped for that. But that can be sometimes hard for people who have actually no idea what they like or what they don't like. So if that's unclear to you, you might need a step first. And probably the places where I would go is like a style vision board, is go to Pinterest, and just, it's a search engine. So you can be really specific. So an example, like if I had a red pant in my wardrobe and I haven't been wearing it because I don't know how to wear it, I would type in red pant outfits into Pinterest and grab what comes up and that I'm drawn to. And so I can start to create these vision boards and just look for some ideas or commonalities and start to create a list, get your ideas out. And that can start to kind of get you inspired, and give you some kind of clarity and direction. And so those are would be like my first go-tos. But I truly believe that education will help with confidence. Sometimes we're lacking confidence in something is because we don't know about it. Like, I would feel more confident giving a talk about clothes versus giving a talk about cars, right? Like, because I know more about one than the other. And so when we have more knowledge and more education, we do feel more confident. Like, one of the biggest things that helps my clients is understanding how they want their clothes to fit their body, like what kind of body shape they have, and how clothes can create an optical illusion, and figuring out like what kind of rise in the pants that feel good for them and that they like, what types of tops do they like on their body. And so knowing that information gives them so much empowerment and tools to make better decisions in their wardrobe so that they do feel more confident in their decisions. So my embrace and dress your body, that's the focus, is understanding how clothes fit our bodies. And so that, to me, knowledge and educating yourself or seeking out that education is so important. And like, I know getting and paying somebody for help in your wardrobe is not a need, or, you know what I mean? It's kind of a want. And so that's why, like, for me specifically, I offer various services for different budget levels. It's why I created this course. So it's a low cost course. So you can learn a ton of information without having to like hire me for a whole wardrobe transformation, which is, requires more of an investment. And so, that could be also a good place for people to start.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think too, just like having that confidence to want more is huge, to want to know yourself more, to really step into that. And I think you're helping so many people with that. So thank you, Amanda, for sharing your truth and sharing your light. Where can our listeners connect with you and get your services?
So my website is simplystylish.ca. And I have my services there. I have my course on there. I have some free resources in there. I have a blog where I've written a ton of stuff in that blog over the years. I'm also on Instagram, and it's simplystylish.ca on Instagram. And then I'm also on Facebook, which is Simply Stylish Inc., like INK on Facebook.
Amazing. And I will put all that information in the show notes for everybody listening who just want to check you out and connect with you and send you a message and let you know how they were impacted by your talk today. So I appreciate you. I have some questions that
Yes.
I ask every guest that comes on the podcast. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. What is your favorite compliment to receive?
That somebody appreciates my honesty and my directness and my analytical brain, and how not everybody enjoys how I can challenge them, but it is a huge compliment when somebody recognizes some of the benefits that can happen if I challenge them. But yeah, it's really like a big part of who I am is my directness and my logic and my frankness, but I can do it in a way that's loving.
I think that's a gift as a coach too. Like people come to you for that.
Yeah, there's been times in my life where when I'm engaged in my passion, I get super passionate about something. It can be a little bit intense. And maybe for some people who aren't used to somebody who is open and honest and can be, I don't want to say brutal. There's been times that I've been brutally honest in the past. It can be like, it can come across maybe as like crossing from assertive to aggressive, even though I don't think I am. Because like my voice gets louder because I'm excited and I'm passionate. But it always comes from like a good place, not a place of like judgment. It comes from love. And so I'm usually like the friend when people are like, I'm overreacting. Amanda, this is what's going on. Help me like figure out like what the heck is really going on. And so I can like take the emotion out of it and help them kind of see something maybe a little bit more clearly and help give them perspective. So that's a compliment. I love that about myself. And I love when other people appreciate that part of myself.
And can recognize that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's a good one. No one's ever said that before, so I like it. It's nice to be different. What is your favorite thing to do to boost your mood when you're feeling grumpy?
Go for a walk in the woods. That's go to instantly. I need to, I mean, just if I can't get in the woods, it's just going for a walk, but I do prefer to be in the woods. Being by nature, it calms me. It helps me be present in the moment. It helps calm my sensory system. And then usually I can be by myself. So if I need to cry, I can cry because I hate crying in front of people. And going for a walk is my therapy. I love the outdoors. I love the woods, and I love to walk and hike.
I love to touch a tree, like to go in nature and to like just like touch some trees. Like, oh, it feels good.
Hugging trees actually is like, I think there's been a study done that your body rhythm will like sync up with nature or something like that. But yeah, well, it's same with women, like for those, well, not for women, but for people who have, who menstruate, if we were to spend more time outside, our cycles would sync up with the moon, which is pretty freaking cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's, I always find that stuff fascinating. Like, I think that's so cool. I feel you on the nature thing. Do you have a song or a quote that boosts your confidence?
So it's funny. I'm not a big quote person. And you know what? I don't listen to anything specifically to boost my confidence, because if I struggle with anything, it's actually not with confidence. I've always been a pretty confident person. But if, I was thinking about this question because I don't know if everybody knows it. You did give me the questions beforehand.
Well, I often say that. People know.
Okay.
It's not a secret. Don't worry. We don't keep secrets.
Secret? Okay.
Because I want you to feel confident coming on here.
Yeah,
so
no, I love it. I love that you did that. When I was training for, I used to run, and when I was training for my first 10K, I had this song by Britney Spears called Work Bitch. And when that song came on, like I felt like a bad bitch. Like I was like,
a good song.
It made me run faster. I would move my body. I would just get excited. And that song like gets me revved up. So that was the only thing I can think of to answer this question.
It's a good song. So I feel you on that. Yeah, I get it. And I know that not everybody is like a song or a quote or so I love that you found something.
Yeah, I listen to really
Britney Spears is good.
I listen to really like mellow, melodic kind of like I listen to indie music, and it's all very kind of like sad. Not sad, but it's really melodic. And so like none of those songs would be appropriate for boosting confidence.
I was going to say, I could totally see that, but that's not what I envisioned you to listen to on the radio. So,
well, actually I don't listen to it on the radio because I can't get it on the radio.
Nobody listens to it on the radio.
No.
I love that. Thank you so much, Amanda, for being here and for sharing your truth and your light with us and for helping us feel more confident in who we are and what we're wearing. So thank you so much
for having me, Jess. I loved it. I loved our conversation.
I'm so glad that you came on. What's up, sis? I am so glad we could hang out today. If you love this episode, send it to a friend or share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me sprinkle some confidence in the world. And don't forget, you are magic. Let's show the world your shine.